The Toronto real estate market roars right back to life. Sales surge 44%. Yeah, 44. But it doesn't mean things are on the up and up just quite yet. Sales surging 44% just means that we're just almost reverting back to our 10-year average, the norm. That's how bad last year was. Remember, 1 month doesn't really make a trend, but a trend can start with 1 month. So we're going to find out. And this is exactly why I'll be breaking down the latest stats for you and show you the good, which there are some goods, the bad, and the one ugly thing in the Toronto real estate market that still kind of looms over us, preventing us from being more, in a seller's market. So make sure you stay tuned. My name's Zen, and if you want to chat with me about your real estate goals, you can do so by booking a call with me using the link that's on the screen right here. It's www.chatwithzen.com, or the link is also in the description below. The Toronto real estate market has taken a turn in the right direction. Yeah. I'm going to show you the most important graph that you need to know to understand what on earth is exactly happening, which is this one right here, the months of inventory chart. And you see that massive drop off on the dotted white line? That's from September to October. And that's basically showing you that sales right now are happening faster than new inventory coming to the market. So for context, if you want to understand what the numbers mean, anything over 6 months of inventory will be classified as a buyer's market, where the buyers control a lot of where things are going and prices should be coming down because too much stuff to buy. We were getting close to that, but the market has turned. And anything between 4 and 6 would be deemed as a balanced market. And anything below 4 is technically a seller's market. And we kind of skipped the balanced market part. And that's what I mean by surging in sales. We're back to a very, 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 very soft seller's market right now as a whole, inclusive of freeholds and condos. But obviously freeholds are doing much better than condos, like I've been saying for a while. But that's kind of where the good news ends. What you're going to be told by a lot of different media outlets, especially our real estate board as well, is that sales are up 44%. And that's 100% true. Like I said, our board is reporting it, but we're kind of just reporting the sexiest numbers out there. And when you're comparing it to one of the worst years in real estate sales ever in 2023, when the population of the Greater Toronto Area has more than doubled, it's a pretty low bar that I wouldn't say is the best thing to kind of tout around there if you understand the context, right? But here's the ugly that we're dealing with right now. We still have a lot of active listings in the market right now that we need to absorb a lot. You see this chart over here? That dotted white line, it hasn't moved too far down from last month. Meaning that the inventory that we have right now is still very high and is sticking around. So while we are heading in the right direction from a sales perspective, also sales outpacing new listings, it's not that all things are about to take off right now just because of those things, just yet, because we have so much inventory. Buyers still have a lot to choose from. Remember, 1 month doesn't make a trend, but a trend does start with 1 month. So we'll see what happens in November when the stats come out. But what I can see happening right now is that we're just reverting back to the norm that, historically what we should be in the last 10 years in Toronto, which, Toronto is kind of accustomed to being in a seller's market, historically speaking, right? So our months of inventory should be hovering around 3. And you can see in this chart right now that we're in the right direction. And if we get more sales in November than we did in October, we'll have a fairly good 2025 because it shows that the demand is coming back, in terms of sales, right? Because you can see in that chart over here that November like historically speaking, should have less sales than October, and it should drop off. And you can see the absorption chart here, or what we call the sales to new listing ratio. And you can see that it's starting to go up because, no one really lists their property in November and December, and sales should continue. So the percentage of sold properties are going to increase while new listings should be coming down seasonally speaking. So that number always goes up to the top right corner towards the end of the year. And we just hit 43%, which is, again, not great because we're up from 27%, which was like historically bad in the last 5 years. Again, really, really bad last year. So you can see things are looking good, but not great yet. Now here's the summary chart looking month to month to see kind of like where we are. You can see prices are up 2.5%, which again, is pretty normal seasonally speaking, going from September to October. So like nothing to rave about. But what you can see is that the big jump in sales from last month, right? So you're up 33% or 44% from last year. So either way you cut it, sales are still increasing quite dramatically. Now, new listings are down, which again is normal, and active listings are down, which is what's causing a lot of the inventory to be absorbed, which ultimately leads the month of inventory to be at this number right here, 3.6. So that is a very, 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 very soft seller's market. Prices are generally pretty stable across the board at each of the market when I was looking at it. But when I looked deeper into the stats, I found this, golden little nugget for you that I'll share with you. All the freehold properties that are, what I call the entry level, so call it your 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, like between $800,000 to $1.3 million price point, right, are at dangerously low months of inventory right now, where prices should be going up. Have a look at this chart over here. The months of inventory for semis and towns in both Toronto and Greater Toronto area is low, is very low. It's exactly what I was saying in the past. The entry-level product between $800,000 to $1.3 million is seeing some serious demand, right? Activity is increasing quite dramatically relative to the amount of product that's on the market because the millennial cohort is in need of ground-based homes, like 3-bedroom, 3-washroom, like a garage, for all their babies that they had in the pandemic. And you can only keep a walking baby in a condo den for that long, right? So inventory. All the buyers going in that direction. So as condos are moving in the right direction where I don't think prices are falling anytime soon, it's nowhere moving as fast and rapidly as the entry-level freehold product, which means that the upgrade from a condo to a freehold is going to get tougher and tougher and tougher. So if you do not make a move now, I can't imagine what's going to look like in like 2025 when you got the mortgage rules coming in for CMHC product under 1.5, which this categorizes into, comes into effect, right? There's going to be a pretty big demand pushing into the entry-level freehold product very, very soon. So if you want to chat about that situation, book a call with me. Now let's look at the historic numbers to get a sense of where we stand, like 30,000 feet in the air. And you can see that we're still well above, what we normally have for active listings in October, because, we need a lot of this product to get absorbed for the market to continue moving along. But here's the secret. Most listings that are on the market right now get delisted come December. Yeah, and that's going to bring the active inventory down quite a bit. Actually, quite drastically, I would say. And the date I'm looking at is December 15th, because no one wants to be selling their home during the holidays, essentially. Maybe investors if the property is vacant, right? But like a homeowner, probably not. Now look at the sales. You can see that we're still a bit below our 10-year average, despite the 44% increase year over year, because last year was so bad. And this is exactly what I mean by we're just reverting back to the norm that we normally see in Toronto, where the market is, historically in a soft seller's market. As for new listings, it's exactly where we should be historically in the last 10 years. And you can see that right here, which further reinforces my point that we're just going back into the last 10-year kind of norm and what the market should be, except that we have a bottleneck being the active listings over here because it's still quite elevated. There's still a lot of active listings for people to buy right now. So therefore, the months of inventory, while has come down, it's still well above where it historically has been. And that is the bottleneck right there. And finally, the absorption rate, you can see that we're better than last year, but not quite back to the 10-year norm. Again, similar to months of inventory. And this is what I meant. The sentiment change from the jumbo rate cut that we got in October, the demand that we're probably going to see when the new mortgage rule changes take in effect on December 15th of this year, which means closing will be like in 2025. And like loosely, the election down south in the United States have all kind of played out, and we're getting more certainty in what's happening in the market. And people who are making a big decision, buying and selling real estate, want certainty. And we're going to see how all of this takes into effect on the macro side in the next 3 to 4 months. And I think we're just going to be going back to our 10-year average of the norm where we're in a soft seller's market, meaning that we should start seeing a lot of this inventory get absorbed or get delisted as we roll into 2025. Condos should stop falling in price if a lot of them do get delisted. And that entry freehold property will likely go up in price because there's not enough of them right now and the demand is too high. So buckle up. And if you're wondering how real estate prices are going to do in the long term, now that Trump will be the president of the United States in 2025, you can check out this video over here.